Hello again, Gay here. I'm back with part 3 of my videos on putting together and using decal transfers on cabochons and using bezel trays to make the jewellery. In this part I am going to show you how I glue in my cabochons and also how I make my cabochons fit bezel trays that aren't quite the right size. I've had a problem with the teardrop shaped ones and have discovered a way that suits me to make them fit. So I will get on with showing you what to do. These are the cabochons that I put the transfers onto and then dipped into paint in the first of these 3 videos. So we've got the music one, the smiley face, another music one, a bird and the whale, and unfortunately the whale one was a little lost in the paint, so I have decided to put it into water and remove the paint from the back of it and try again another time dipping it into paint to see what I get from it. These ones here, they all came out pretty well, I thought. Love the smiley face one, the winky tongue poking one. I thought the colours behind it came out really nicely, and I will be putting that into a bezel tray to make a pendant from it. The little bird certainly came out differently. It's got the green in it, but it's also got some violet, and the iridescence in it, if I can pick that up in the light for you, makes it really sparkly and pretty. One of these cabochons that I did, you will see over here at the top on the left hand side that the paint hasn't covered it properly, and when you look over to the back you can still see where the glass is clear rather than has been covered with the paint. So I'm going to show you now, sorry about the wee wobble, how I repair that. There are several ways of doing it, of course. I can use some more of the paint, the acrylic paint that I have plenty of, but I find my quick fix way is to use nail polish. I have some nail polish that will pretty much match it. I got a lot of nail polishes a while back that were given to me, and I have got a good selection of colours so that I can choose which colour that would best suit the colour on this cabochon. I have some more colours here, so I've got a good selection of the reds, and the red I think is probably the best colour for the back of that, and I think that red is bright enough to do the job, so that is what I'm going to do. I'm not sure if it's thick enough. I may have to do 2 coats. So I'll just move that out of the way. Sorry if my fingers are all over the place in front of the screen. Okay, give my polish a good shake. Find the patch that needs doing, which is right there where my thumb is, and just give it a quick coat of the red polish. And that is all it needs. That will dry flat. It has already covered up that area. I don't know if you can see that in the light. I'll bring the camera over a little. And that patch has got on the glass has disappeared. And the red will merge in with the rest of the colours so that it looks like it has all just been painted. And that's my way of repairing my cabochons when the paint hasn't quite coated the back of them properly. Right, I'll show you the 2 cabochons I did in video 2. There was the heart cabochon, which I glued the skin onto the back, and it has a pretty little rosebud and piece of greenery on it with a creamy beige background from the skin. And I'm going to pop that into a heart bezel tray, which looks just like that, and it's in the antique bronze colour, which I got from AliExpress. And there is the heart cabochon to fit it, so I will show you in a moment how I glue that in. And also the whale that I showed you how I put it down onto the skin, glue it and cut it out, and that's the skin on the back, and that also is ready to glue into a bezel tray. And I looked at it that way, but wasn't really happy with it because the whale actually looked like he was upside down. So I decided that he looked a lot better in that direction, and that is how I will be gluing him in. And I have the bezel tray here. This is another one that I got from AliExpress. I love it because it is in the shape of a musical instrument, and on the back it also has musical symbols which make it just a little bit special. So I thought if I put the cabochon into that, it would look quite stunning, and I think it does. I just have to make sure that I put it in the way I want it to go in, and then glue it into place, and that will make another lovely pendant for me. Right, I've tried to get my camera as stable as possible so I can use both my hands. I'm sorry, I know that looks a little blurry. I'm hoping that it doesn't look blurry as I'm working with the pendant and bezel tray. So I will take that out now and pop it aside ready to be glued. I will also get this one ready. I will do this one first. So my glue of choice is the diamond glaze, which I absolutely love, although I must say I do have a few issues with the bubbles not smoothing out properly, but I believe I'm not, by far, not the only person who has that problem. I've tried a couple of other glues and I haven't really been happy with them, so this one is the one that I like the best. So I will get my bezel tray, and I usually put the glue on the back of my cabochon, but because this one has a skin on it already, I am going to put the glue inside the bezel tray, and I will get my handy tissue to make sure I have no bubbles coming through when I squeeze it. No, it's good. Right, so I put one, I do have a bubble, poke it with my finger, there we go. I'm going to have a few by the looks of it. 1, 2, 3 drops of glue, and I'll put one in the middle for luck, as this one is a bigger bezel tray than I normally use. Okay, so the bubbles want to come out anyway. I will deal with that. Put the lid on my glue and poke my fingernail, there we go, into the middle of the glue. And I have my trusty cocktail stick handy. I'll just move the glue around in there until I've completely covered the bezel tray. Okay, so I'm ready to put the heart in now. I'm trying to angle it, so I want you to see if you can see it. It appears to be there are tiny little bubbles there that I have on there, but I'm not too worried about them for this one because it's under the skin, so they won't be seen, and I'm hoping will just be pressed out as I put the cabochon into the tray. And I will get it now and just slot it in there carefully. There we are. Just give it a slight press down to bring the glue out from the sides all the way around. Don't know how well you can see that, but the glue is starting to pop up on the edges there. which is what I want, so that it's glued right up the sides, because although I never tell anyone that these are water resistant, I usually tell people that they need to not to wear them in the shower or when they go swimming, but it is nice to know that the glue has come right up the sides and therefore gives the cabochon a better chance of being water resistant, just in case somebody forgets to take it off when they go in the water. Okay, now I've managed to get the glue up around most of the sides, but I don't seem to be having much luck with the bottom there and with this side, as the bezel was the bezel tray was not a super tight fit for the cabochon. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue down in there. I'm going to see how I get on, just putting a dot and moving it around with my cocktail stick. I don't want any bubbles. Just want glue. So I'm going to put a wee dot here, like so. Get my cocktail stick, get that tip clean. I'll actually use the new tip, I think, and just take that glue round and down the sides there, right down to the bottom, so that I've got it going all the way around the edge there, which is what I wanted. I'll just smooth that out while I'm about it. And around the top, leaning it down that way a little so that the glue goes right around the edges there. Good. Much better. I'm a lot happier with that. So I will clean my cocktail stick off, and now I'm going to get a cotton bud and just run it gently around the sides to make sure there is no excess glue either on the edge of the frame, the bezel tray itself, but also on the glass. And later on, when I think the glue has dried enough, I will get another cotton bud and I will put some either acetone or just nail polish remover onto it, and then I will use the acetone or nail polish remover to clean up the sides so that they look nice and smooth. And there was my little cabochon glued into its bezel tray. And I will now do the same thing with this one. Right, I'm just going to add a drop more of the glue, as I don't feel there is quite enough in there to bring the glue up over the sides as I would like. And that was a little piece of the dried glue off the container, which I don't want in there. Right, I'm just going to pop a little more glue. That's better. Just to make sure that I can get it up over the sides. I don't need to spread that dot out as I push the cabochon down into it. It should do that for me. Making sure I have it exactly where I want it. Pop it into the tray and just press it down lightly. I have to say, besides these being a very attractive bezel tray, they are also very easy to put the cabochons into. These are 25mm across, 2.5 centimetre cabochons, and they fit absolutely perfectly into this bezel tray with the minimum of fuss. Now I'm going to take off the excess glue that I can see around the side. think that's the only side that seems to have it. Okay, well, that seems to have gone in very, very well. I'm so pleased with that. I can see a very tiny silver part there. I can point it out with the point there of the sorry, I'll bring it back to the camera, that makes it easier for you. I don't know how well you can see that, but I think you can. There is a silver dot there, and that is where the glue has not stuck, and this is what I seem to be having the problem with. But to me, it doesn't detract from the overall effect of this cabochon pendant, and I'm very, very pleased with the way that has come out. Right, this part of the video I'm planning on showing you how I make the cabochons fit when I'm finding that there is a problem of the difference between the bezel tray and the cabochon, and it seems to be mainly centered around the teardrop bezel trays and cabochons, 20 millimeters across by 30 millimeters in length. I have a smaller one here of the 18 millimeter by 25 millimeter, and the cabochon for that size fits beautifully, not a problem with it. Just seems to be these bigger ones, it doesn't seem to matter which bezel tray I buy, they don't fit. So I am going to show you now how I make them fit. So I'll show you first of all this one, which it doesn't matter how I wiggle it, push it round, it won't fit into the tray. And the same goes for this one here. But what I'm going to do is, I have not actually tried to make these ones smaller yet. I've only worked on the ones that I have dipped in paint and allowed to dry. So what I have done so far is I have had for quite a while in my medicine cabinet a Shoal foot file, which is battery operated, excuse the noise. And with that I take off the dry skin around my heels, but I find it's just a very handy battery operated sandpaper, piece of sandpaper. And one of the things I like about it, of course, is that this unit itself is very expensive here in New Zealand. It's around $40 to buy this unit here, and the refill rollers here are around $20 each. Sometimes I can get them on special, but usually they're pretty expensive. But I did find on AliExpress the round rollers to fit this machine, and they were a fraction of the price. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was only about $3 or $4 New Zealand to buy these two rollers, and it says on here fits all Shoal foot files, and sure enough that is exactly what it does. So it works out to be cheaper for me if I buy the rollers on AliExpress rather than buying them here. If you look closely at this, I don't know if you can see it, I have the grit is getting quite flat now, but I actually quite like it like that for the job that I'm going to do, because it's very delicate and I don't want to do any damage to the glass. So I'll now show you what I do. First of all, I'm not going to do a full one because I've already done one, but I have to tell you that I do wear a face mask because I believe that glass dust can be damaging to your health if you breathe it in. So I will now put this on just to give you a quick demonstration of what I do. I'm sorry if you won't be able to hear me properly talking through the mask, so I'll just show you. Okay, I'm not doing the full cabochon, because of course it's going to take me quite a while to do. I generally tend to find that I will sit in front of television while I'm doing these, and with my mask on I'm pretty safe from the glass dust. If it's summertime in your country, of course, you could probably sit outside in the sunshine, making sure that if there's a breeze, it is blowing in the opposite direction to where you're sitting, and that makes it even safer for you to do it. So that one, once I've worked on it enough, it will eventually fit into the tray so that I can then glue it in. In the meantime, I have already done this one. Now, I love this, but the edges have been ground back quite hard, and the cabochon now fits the bezel tray beautifully, so that I can glue that into place and we'll have another pendant. But before I do that, I have this sort of, it's not rough, but it's not shiny either, area around the edge of the cabochon there. I have a bottle of nail polish base coat, and I find the base coat being slightly thinner than nail polish gives a nice coat around the edges of it without it actually being too thick, which I don't need after I have already shaved it back so it will fit the bezel tray. So I just coat that carefully around the edges, doing a little at a time because it dries pretty quickly. Grab my cotton bud and just skim it across the top there to make sure that it's not going across the glass. Right, I now have a much smoother, more what I call professional type edge to my cabochon. I don't know how well you can see that, but it certainly made a difference, and as I said, it dries very quickly, and then I will be able to glue this into the bezel tray of my choice to make a pendant. Here in front of me I have a cabochon which I had already put a transfer on and dipped in the paint. It looks just as pretty on the back, and it was dried and ready to put into a bezel tray. Unfortunately, when I put it into the tray, it wasn't a snug fit, and I found that there was just a bit of a gap along the edge of the tray there, which I wasn't happy with. Even trying to centre it, I still felt that there was too much silver along the edge. So I decided to paint the bezel tray with some black nail polish, of which I've got the Rimmel 60 Seconds Vinyl Shine. And the reason I chose the nail polish again over using just ordinary black acrylic paint was that it gave it a level of being more waterproof, so that once the cabochon was glued in, it would be more water resistant and possibly lessen the risk of the cabochon lifting off the tray over time. So now when I put it in, it looks different than in this tray because it's got the black edge, and when I glue it, it will look as though it is fitting snugly. Okay, for the final part of this video, I'm going to show you some of the cabochon pendants that I have already put together. I do have other cabochon trays, such as the bracelet tray, which I think is just beautiful, but I haven't started using them yet. I actually have a wee cabochon I think I would like to pop into this tray. It is a pink dolphin which I dipped, which I think is rather pretty. So what you see in front of you is a small selection of the good and the bad, and some of the really good. I'll start with the one that I was very disappointed with when I had finished it, It was a beautiful settings of lavender flowers, and I had managed to get a very good dark background of dipped paint on the back. But when it had dried and I looked at it, I don't know if I can show you there, it actually had got a large silver patch on there, which I can't do anything about, and seems to extend slightly up there as well, and I felt that spoiled it a bit. Got one here that I didn't put any decal transfer on. I thought that was gorgeous because I dipped it in the paint and got a lovely, what looked to me like a pattern of hills in the background. I call this my sunset in the hills piece. But again, unfortunately, you may be able to see it there sideways on. I got a large silverish patch where the glue hadn't stuck properly, and as I said, really disappointing. Okay, this was the very first one that I made that I was proud of, very pleased with. It's got very, very slight silverish tinting colour in there, but you can't notice it. And as I said previously in this video, I just really love these bezel trays. This also is one of my pride and joy ones. I dipped that as well. As you can see, it is another one of my whales. But to be able to dip that and not be sure of what the colours are when they come out, and to get the beautiful blue with what looks like a piece of possibly underwater rock or similar on it, I was just so excited when I saw that. It's really, really pretty. The oval one, similar again. Seemed to be one of the very few pieces where I didn't get that silverish look on it, so I must have done something right on that one, because that was a dipped one as well, and with the pretty flower on it, it just came out really nicely. My very last one, and I just really love of all my transfers, I think the zips are my favourite, and this one is a zipped one where it was a skin, and I managed to get the zip onto in place where there was the dark colour coming through, and then had the rest of the pattern underneath the zip, so it looks like it's opening up. But again, if I angle it carefully enough sideways, just a small silver patch underneath where the zip is. Thank goodness, not too bad, so this actually came out better than I expected. Well, I've finally finished all my videos on cabochons. So once again, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.